Good evening. So after a few requests, people wanting to see what Skookum looks like inside, we thought we'd put a video tour together over this weekend. We're not going out on the boat, so we're gonna stick around and do chores. So we thought it'd be a great weekend to piece together a boat tour video for you guys. So right now we're at MK Bay Marina in Kitimat. Skookum's home. This is where she lives. So you can have a look at her at the marina. So here at the stern of Skookum, you can see it has an aftermarket swim grid on it. We use the swim grid for our fishing and deploying the paravanes, and it gives a nice extra added space on the back outside because the cockpit area is quite small for a boat this size. But with the swim grid, it's quite enough room for us, and we enjoy fishing back here. So standing on the back of Skookum swim grid, I have my fish cleaning station. It's removable, so it's not always up here. You'll see in some of our videos. We have our downriggers, our barbecue, spare anchor right here, a small fish net, and important to us is these fins here. They're called fish, and they help stabilize the boat. So on board Skookum in her cockpit, I have above us bimini cover, which was an aftermarket thing that we put on after we bought her. Where we live, the rain kind of gets to you after a while, and this provides enough shelter that you could still enjoy some time on the back deck in the cockpit here. We've got two lockers on the stern. One is a propane locker, and the other on the starboard side is the locker where we keep our fishing tackle. The box here, we have our generator. That's our small Honda generator. We don't like to run our big generator all the time. If we're just trying to keep the batteries full and power the lights and stuff at night, we just use our small generator rather than using the 8 kilowatt generator. It burns quite a bit of fuel, and if we're not putting that much load on it, we don't want to waste the hours on the engine or whatnot, so we use our little Honda. We also have a deck wash over here, and we have a remote for our crane system that raises and lowers the dinghy, but also deploys and retrieves the stabilizing system. Up top here we have our rods. I won't say all of our rods, we have some of our rods. So we have right here, we have 3 halibut rods and 2 salmon rods and 1 herring rod. Inside the boat we have several other rods. We have a lot of rods, but we enjoy passing the time with doing some fishing here and there. So down here is our Lazarette. We won't get too close of a shot because we have a lot of stuff down there. So we use it primarily as storage, but also our water plant is in there. So we have a desalination plant. It makes 600 gallons of water a day. It sits in the back there. Also, we have our hydronic heating system. So it's a diesel fired boiler that basically keeps the boat warm in the winter or in the cooler weather. And again, like I said, our batteries are in there, and it's just really a spot to collect junk, that unsightly junk that you don't want hanging off the top of your boat, so nobody can see it down there, and if you can't see it, it doesn't exist, right? So
Derek will actually crawl in here, and there is our water maker, which hopefully a future clip we will show you how we make water one day. I'd like to just show you the salon in the boat here. We have a nice table here that this is where we like to sit and we eat here. This is our main couch that we watch our movies from. We just plug in our iPhone, we watch lots of Netflix on some of our trips, And as you can see, this is Ranger's bed. He knows to lay here. He snuggles up. So underneath this couch, we have lots of storage. These can lift up. And this couch too, also you can lift it up. And there's several compartments for more storage. In the back of this couch as well, along the back of the wall, there's panels you can open up, and we put a lot of stuff behind there, like extra life jackets or covers for the boat. It's very handy.
View on the port side below the settee that Jennifer just described. It's our fire extinguishing system for the engine room. So when you pull that, it activates this. It's like a sprinkler setup with a chemical that extinguishes the fire.
And just on the corner of the settee, you can see we have our favorite drawer with a few prized possessions in there for our evenings. And we have to remember to lock it in rough seas. Also down here, you can see this is little Ranger's dinner spot. So dog food and shells. Oh, there he goes.
Well, welcome to Skookum's Galley, or my galley as I like to say. I'm just forward of the Salon when you walk in the stern door. So the Salon has a granite countertop, a double basin sink, teak cupboards above and below and all around me basically. We have a Mediterranean Dickinson stove and oven. Over here we have a trash compactor. It will hold about 2 weeks worth of garbage and pack it down and pack it down. Not something we use a whole lot, but it's there, and if we need it, we have it. There's a fridge freezer on this side, but also on the starboard side, more in the Salon area, is another refrigerator that's just a fridge, no freezer. Back to the fridge on this side, there's also an ice maker inside. Above we have a microwave oven, and then more teak cupboards for storage, and in the corner our coffee pot and toaster, because they're important. So typically what happens in here, I really enjoy cooking. I like creating different meals, and Jennifer always asks me what we're eating, and I'll tell her straight up, I don't know until I've finished making it. So I just start grabbing stuff, and whatever comes out at the end, it comes out. But they're usually decent to eat. I do hate cleaning, however, so that's when suddenly this becomes Jennifer's galley. And she'll do all the cleaning and clean the pigsty that I've created. So we're a good team. I love cooking. I don't know if she loves cleaning, but she's good at it.
And yes, I do have one plant on the boat for about 2 years. I got it for Mother's Day, and it's still alive. It sits on the boat all winter. And I've got my pretty little lights in there too. And here we go down some stairs. Into our little bathroom. We have a toilet that flushes, an electrical heater, and we have a nice little shower room here with a teak bench that we could sit on if the seas were rough. We like to keep our water bottle in there, and we do have some storage in these little compartments, like I put bleach or extra shampoo, stuff like that. On the boat we have one guest stateroom. We have an upper bunk bed and a lower bunk bed. The lower bunk bed will actually pull out here it will pull out to a double bed. And you can see there's lots of storage. There's drawers below the bed. There's also a little seat here with more storage. We also have a full closet in the guest stateroom. And we also have my little hidden, let's see, it's a washer and dryer, so it's 2-in-1. It's pretty handy because I set the washer to come on and automatically the dryer will turn on right after. So it's pretty handy. We usually do loads of laundry after we get back from a big trip or a weekend out. Pretty lucky to have that. The engine room door is in the guest stateroom. Not bad for inviting some friends to come out and go fishing with us or a little trip to the hot springs. Here is Derek's cave. I'm gonna crawl in the engine room. Whoa. There he is.
So welcome to the heart and lungs of Skookum. So directly in front of me is the main engine, main propulsion system. It's a lugger by Northern Lights. It's 105 horsepower, and it has a shaft that runs directly out the back to turn a 36-inch propeller. To the port side is the wing engine right here. And that's a Yanmar 28 horsepower engine. It has its own shaft on a V drive and its own folding propeller. And they call it a get home engine or a wing engine or a kicker. We use it when we're salmon fishing. So if we're trolling for salmon, because it will push the boat much slower than the main engine and it burns quite a bit less fuel. This big white object here is the generator. So it's the white part around it, it's called a heat shield, but inside there is an engine that looks similar to the wing engine, and it produces 8,000 watts of electricity when we fire it up. Let's check out the master stateroom. So up front is the anchor chain locker with 2 reading lights, and then storage for clothing and whatnot across the top. Again, this is the port side, clothing lockers, our TV. Just spinning around, we're facing aft now, and the starboard side is exact same as the port side with plenty of storage. Underneath of the bed is a large storage area as well.
Hello.
Up here is the pilot house. You guys have seen lots of footage from the pilot house. It is where, when we're traveling, we spend most of our time. The pilot house on the Nordhavn40 is fairly roomy for a boat of this size. Behind we have our seating area. I got my sheepskin on there just because I do spend a lot of time sitting up here, and even at anchor I like to sit here and look out the windows and stuff. Behind we have a day berth, it's called. So lots of times when you're traveling for long periods of time, we'll take turns sleeping, and we just like to be together. It's easier should something happen where we need the other person, that they're right here available, so we have our naps during our travels up here, or if we're doing a longer crossing, we'll have full-on sleeps up there. our boat is a 2004 Nordhavn40. It's hull number 45. So in 2004, the electronics that you're looking at today were probably state of the art and great. And don't get me wrong, they still work and they serve the purpose that they were designed for, just not fancy like the new electronics. The Nordhavn40, or this particular Nordhavn40, when we bought it, comes with two of everything basically. The boats are designed for ocean crossing, and when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can't just phone up the parts store for parts when something breaks down, you need to have redundancy. So starting on this side, we have a GPS chart plotter. Right here we have a second GPS plot charter and sounder, and then here we have the depth gauge separate of the one on the plotter. Boat speed, autopilot, second autopilot, wind speed and direction, VHF radio. So here we have a closed array radar system, and we use this for traveling at night and in the fog or when conditions aren't great for visibility. And right next to it we have another one. It's an open array. It does the same thing again though. Like we said, we have two, so if we're traveling at night, we'll have one zoomed in close to the boat, and then we can see logs and smaller debris floating in the water, and then one farther, and that helps you see, you know, ships coming. Here we have our satellite phone for communications. And then coming up top here, we have a CB radio, which unless you know another boat that has a CB radio and you're fairly close, you never gets used. Another VHF radio. This is the dashboard for the main engine. And this is a single sideband radio or ham radio, and it's for communicating over long distances. It's a system not many people use anymore, but before satellite communications, it was one of the main systems you would use out at sea for communicating over long distances. You need a special license to use one and some special knowledge of how to use it, which neither Jennifer nor myself have. We have a EPIRB, which if the boat sinks, it emits a radio signal, and it gives you a position to the Coast Guard, and then they can come find us. Down below here is our electrical distribution center. So the top half of the panel up here represents all the 12-volt system, and the bottom half of the panel represents the 120-volt system, which is the same as your household electricity. We have the ability to switch. This main switch here can be on shore power, and then the shore power runs our 12-volt system through an inverter and keeps all the 12-volt system running. Or we can have it on battery power and the 12-volt system runs off the batteries. Or we can have it on generator, and the generator will run 120 volts, and then the inverter will convert back down to the 12 volt to run the 12 volt system. So just inboard of the electrical distribution center, right here is the dash for the generator. So it's a Northern Lights 8 kilowatt or 8,000 watt generator. It's diesel, and it starts from up here, and it runs everything can be done remotely. Having said that, of course, you have to do all your maintenance and your checks prior to using it. So before we leave each trip or each morning, I check the oil in the main engine, the wing engine, and the generator. So that way I know I can just go ahead at any point during our trip and turn one of them on. Just down below is the Yanmar wing engine dashboard, and that's how we start the wing engine. The throttles are right next to the main engine throttles by the helm, and then below that is our inverter management system. So that tells us everything we know about everything we need to know about the inverter, what it's doing, what state of charge the batteries are at, and whatnot. Just to the right of that This Village Marine is the panel to run the water maker that we talked about earlier. That sits in the Lazarette. And then below that's just some switches that, you know, for the heater and then boom winches and stuff. So we can either exit or make entry into the wheelhouse on both the port side or the starboard. There's these Dutch doors. They can open half or fully. And that leads us out to the Portuguese bridge, which is a full walk around to the wheelhouse. So we can go out this door, walk around the front and inside the starboard side door. So one of the main purposes to come up on the foredeck is to launch and retrieve the anchor. So we have a 120-pound anchor on the front, followed by 400 feet of 3/8 chain. That gives us depth for overnight anchoraging, or maybe around 100 feet is about as much as I would anchor in overnight. Just to the port side here, we have our freshwater washdown to clean the chain and the anchor as it's coming back into the locker.
On our deck, you can see we have lots of storage too. We put a lot of like electrical cords in there, different items. We have these vents, one on the port side, one on the starboard side. We'll take the covers off and it allows fresh air to flow into our stateroom. We'll just follow behind Derek here. Down some more stairs.
So the stairwell on the starboard side leads you up onto the upper boat deck. This is where we launch the stabilizer poles and retrieve them. Our dinghies up here, our kayaks up here, and we keep a cooler and our crab traps and whatnot up here.
And our freezer too. For really long trips, we put our freezer on the boat. We like to fill it with meat and bread, and if we get like lots of halibut or fish, we vacuum seal them and we put them in our little freezer.
On top of the pilot house, we have our life raft which will automatically inflate and be secured to the side of the boat should we need it in an emergency.